store.
This is True Capitalist Radio.
True Capitalist Radio.
I am your host, the man they call Ghost.
The badass of business.
Give him capitalism or give him death.
That's it. Period.
Broadcasting from his Skyline office studios in beautiful downtown Austin, Texas.
You sound fruitier than a box of Fruit Loops, for Christ's sake.
And now, he'll take it from here. Your host, the prognosticator of prognosticators, the man they call
Ghost.
Well, good evening, folks, and thank you for tuning in with me to a spontaneous, random, been late for work 3 years edition of the True Capitalist Radio broadcast. And of course, I am your host, the man they call Ghost. And once again, folks, I want to thank you for tuning in with me. I'm not going to have your traditional broadcast of me conducting commentary on the damn markets and on the political spectrum and on the social landscape and all this nonsense because, well, it's been about 3 years since I've conducted one of these broadcasts, and the reason I've come back on here is a lot of reasons. One in particular is I want to tell each and every one of you milky-licking, nipple-clamp-loving, butt-plug-up-the-ass-looking, think that you were smarter than me, having pieces of tickling your balls with mustard sauce, having chicken-eating corn-boy trash. Gotta calm down. I told you so, all right? That's right, I told you so. I told you every single thing that has happened in this world, I have predicted in my broadcast. And if you don't believe me, boy, by God, if you don't believe me, go to that damn archive at blogtalkradio.com/ghost. That's blogtalkradio.com/ghost. Go ahead and check it all out. It's all there. It's all there, baby. All right? Geez, I don't even know where to start. I remember when I was a true conservative, before the conservative movement turned their backs on me. But I remember when I was a conservative and I was telling everybody out there who was listening that these goddamn communists, these liberals, these leftists, feminists, all these people are colluding in an attempt to bring down this country in every fabric possible. Back when I was a true conservative, I talked about how feminism was basically implementing the pussification, the absolute pussification of the American male. And at the time, this was in 2008, 2009, people thought I was nuts. That's right, they thought I was nuts. They thought I was going loco. Even fellow conservatives at the time thought that I was going haywire because I wasn't some kind of blinded follower of one Sarah Palin. That's right. I was against Sarah Palin, all right, before everybody else thought it was cool to do so. And I don't want to bring this back up because you could go back to the archive and check it out, but the reason, the basis of me not liking Sarah Palin, and it's one of the many reasons, but the basis of it, it was the end, the absolute end of the conservative movement. The absolute end. Y'all remember that John McCain, Sarah Palin Republican convention? Y'all remember that crap? That was a coronation of the damn liberals taking over the control of the Republican Party. They were championing teen pregnancy. Remember with Bristol Palin? They were just completely just turning blinders on what conservatives used to believe in. turning blinders on like it never even existed. Anyway, I don't want to get into that. I'm no longer a conservative. Those people are frauds. I don't want to talk about it, but it's there. All right? When I was a conservative, I also said that oral copulation between two men across the street from an elementary school was not only going to be demanded by the, what do they call it, LGBT community, but it was going to be protected by the First Goddamn Amendment. And look at what happened. Look at what's going on out here, folks. Huh? 2015. I talked about this in 2008, and the archive is there. Now let's move on, shall we? Let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about what has happened to the country. I remember at the time in 2008, 2009, when I was a true conservative, I was one of the only voices talking about all the people that are converting to absolute moochers off the government entitlement system. And everybody thought I was loco. Once again, it's all documented. It's all documented. blogtalkradio.com/ghost. Go to the damn archives. People thought I was loco. I even had a damn broadcast in which I list all the damn entitlements one could apply for, and basically added that sum up into equating that to something like, Jesus Christ, what was it, 5,000 to 8,000 a month? I don't remember. It's in the archive. Look it up for your damn self. But that now, that basis of living, collecting a check from the government, that basis of living is now the basis of our labor force. If we even have a labor force. I predicted that, didn't I? Huh? Yeah. I predicted that. Let's keep going, shall we? I said that single-parent families, right? Remember that? Single-parent families are the majority of the day. And look at it now. Look at it now. Look at the consequence of what was going on when I was calling it in 2008 and 2009. Take a look at it now in 2015. I predicted it. Let's keep going. I'm serious. Let's just keep on going, shall we? Let's talk about a little bit about foreign policy out here. Oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, if I predicted anything in foreign policy, I mean, good Lord, it's documented once again. I predicted all this crap in the Middle East. I remember in 2009, this was during the time I was still in the true conservative radio days. I had broadcasts during the Iranian Revolution of 2009. That's right, the Iranian Revolution of 2009. I don't know if you folks remember that very vividly. Maybe some of you folks that were with me back then maybe remember this broadcast, but I was adamantly urging the United States to back up the opposition to the Ayatollah back in 2009 in Iran. And what did they do? They did absolutely nothing. Iranian people rose up, and they were in complete opposition to Ahmadinejad, who was the president of Iran at the time. They were in complete opposition, in unison, against the Ayatollah. And what happened? The United States, the international community, that piece of crap United Nations, that piece of crap NATO, nobody did a goddamn thing. And as a consequence, the damn Ayatollah ordered most of these people slaughtered and jailed and their families executed. And we did nothing. And I said, once again, you can look back at that damn archive. I said that we would rue the day. We would rue the day that we did nothing to help the damn opposition of Iran in 2009. It's all there. You folks can, sit over here and try to say, oh, that's not true, Ghost. You're lying. Look it up, boy. Let's keep going. All right? 2009, I call for the United States to back up the Iranian Revolution. It didn't. As a consequence, the 2009 Iranian Revolution was conquered, and what happened to Iran after that? What happened? I mean, I don't mean to fast forward, but we're now doing deals with Iran. Can you believe that? We are now doing nuclear deals with Iran now. I mean, in 2009, they were on the brink of falling. Had anybody in the international community aided that 2009 revolution? But you know what they did aid? Huh? You remember this ridiculous, what do they call it? The Muslim Spring? The Islamic, I even forgot what it's called. I mean, give me a break. I mean, I said it back then, and I'll say it now. All right? The Arab Spring is what it was called. There you go. The engineer's here. He's kicking back with me here. Thank you, engineer. I appreciate it. The Arab Spring. Remember that? Oh, good God. Oh, the American freaking government and the military were creaming out their pants to back up this ridiculous, basically a bunch of, determined, uneducated, wild Yehudis out here. I mean, let's be honest about it. I mean, I said it back then and I'll say it now. It was a bunch of wild Yehudis out there that were just rising up because they were being agitated, especially in Egypt. If we want to, be specific about it. Wael Ghanem, I talked about that stupid scumbag. He was an Egyptian, supposed techie dork that was employed by Google, which is conveniently forgotten about in history. Wael Ghanem and all these tech people agitated a whole population in Egypt, in Tunisia, and everywhere else that, where they decided to just rise up. I mean, let's be honest. Tunisia is not an impoverished nation, all right? I mean, Egypt isn't the greatest nation either, but it was on its way up for industrial and economic development at the time of Mubarak, all right? I mean, let's say, I'm not trying to praise Mubarak's praises, but look at Egypt now. You had Obama backing up the Muslim Brotherhood, President Morsi. The Egyptian people were like, wait a minute, we had a revolution only to bring in Morsi and these Islamic Brotherhood idiots to implement Sharia law on us? Hell no, so they had another revolution, remember that? They had another revolution on top of the one Wael Ghanem and Google and all those idiots rabble-roused, to throw out Morsi and jail the Muslim Brotherhood. And currently that government is in power today. A consequence of the Arab Spring, huh? Give me a break. I called that. I was completely against the Egyptian Revolution. I called this crap. I predicted it. I was against Libya, too. And look what's happening in Libya. Huh? Look what's happening. For some reason, Obama and this administration didn't want to bother to help the Iranian Revolution of 2009 to help topple an enemy of the United States. I mean, it's an obvious enemy. I mean, it goes back some days. I mean, you go back 79, 78. He just does not bother. The American government does not bother with the Iranian Revolution in 2009. But Muammar Gaddafi, who in his latter years here was actually bowing down to the international community. I even talked about that before he was overthrown in 2008. He was bowing down. He was relinquishing his weapons of mass destruction. He was allowing the international bodies to come in and inspect them, so on and so forth. But for some reason, Obama and the administration thought it was a great idea to just go ahead and aid whatever wild Yehudis were out there, Al-Qaeda, whatever wild Yehudis out there, they were going to arm them, they were going to train them, they were going to give them weapons and armory and all this other stuff to topple Libya's Muammar Gaddafi, and look at it now. Libya now is nothing more than a springboard from all these wild Yehudis. And let me tell you something, these Yehudis that are now called ISIS are nothing more than Al-Qaeda in a new name. I predicted all this. Remember, we had interviews with Mahmoud. We actually had people that would call us into the show that were actually on the ground in Libya, on the ground